Hi and welcome to this tutorial. This one's designed to show you how to use our asset register. Again, I've got one prepared, so I'm going to open that up. The asset register is reasonably self-explanatory, with the exception perhaps to things like system numbers. Remember the system identifications we gave to each water storage system from the system ID spreadsheet? Well, it's important in here to record the system identification that's responsible for feeding the type of equipment that you're talking about. So if I took this particular example here, we've got a WC and I've recorded that it's fed via system ID 02 and it needs a comma after it. I called the system ID 02 when I filled out the system identification sheet, so it needs to be called 02 in here and not just 2. The system won't recognize that 02 is the same as 2. If there are two systems feeding it, then you put in 02, 03, and I would usually do the system identification, system numbering identification down here after I'd put the assets in, because I find it quicker and easier to do it that way. Okay, we'll try and show you some tricks on that in a bit. Looking at the columns, there is a floor for the height, the level in the building. So you can see here we've put in GRD for ground and 1ST for first. It will take straight numbers if you want to use zeros or ones, but it reads better with ground and first and second put in there. And of course, it's a spreadsheet, so you can copy and paste either a single cell or copy and paste a whole group of cells, just as you would in any normal Excel, which does make putting things in a little quicker. Okay, the location is then a description of, in this particular case, all prefixed with the word admin, because the outlet is in the admin building, and then mail lavatory, room numbers or anything else that are available to you, in this case 1.26 as a room number. Okay, then the type of equipment in there, you get to put these in. It's useful if you try and use the same terminology once you get going. So for WC, you repeat it as WC, urinal, you keep it the same. Sinks and sentinel sinks. If you then put in another type of equipment, which is sinks sentinel, the system will see those as two different types of equipment, which makes things a little messy. So it's useful to try and use the same terminology as best you can all the way down. On here you would put in the number of types of outlet that are present. So in this case there are 2 WCs. A little trick to play here if you're running multiple outlets and you're worried about TMV valves. If you put in a washhand basin, and I'm sure there's one here somewhere, or a TMV washhand basin, and we have one item, one unit, that will generate one TMV servicing routine in our logbook, in our record keeping system. If you have 3 washhand basins and they're all fed via the same TMV, if you change that to 3, obviously that represents 3 washhand basins, but it would only generate 1 TMV because there's only 1 TMV in the type of equipment listing down here. So if you had 3 washhand basins and you wanted each one of them to be fed, each had its own individual TMV, then it would pay to put this particular location in more than once. So we would put it in twice and keep the number of equipment to 1. So you would then result in 2 TMVs within the schedule, and that would give you 2 TMV servicing schedules and the like to look after in the record keeping system. So that's just a finer point, but if you want 1 per TMV, then put them in individually. If you've only got 1 TMV, put them in as a total. Looking at the other column headings here, the order number is used to display the outlets in a logical sequence when we're printing reports, and also to drive PDAs within our record keeping system, so it pays to build up a order to attack the building, and this results in a steady sequential list as you go around the building. You can just go right the way down the list, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Okay, dead legs. In here we just put the number of dead legs present in a given area, so it picks up 2 dead legs that exist in IT room 1.27a. So that indicates that there are 2 dead legs there. If you've got any comments you want to make about those dead legs, then they go in the comments column over here, where you're free to enter a comment about what they are or where the dead legs are. So the comments go over there. If you feel that the outlet clearly isn't being used frequently, then you would put a 1 in the infrequently used outlet column, and that will drive the control scheme to produce a recommendation to flush weekly that particular location. Mains is where you put the temperature of the mains cold water. This is direct mains fed water, which should mean that this system is fed, this location, this washhand basin is fed via system 01, as we can see from here is actually a mains location. It's fed via 01 and 03. Cold is then for stored cold water, hot is for hot water to the area, and mixed is for water that's coming out of a blending valve. If you are measuring a TMV and you put that into the hot water, obviously that would then generate a, as it has done here, 36.4 would be pour temperature on the washhand basin if it was coming out of the TMV, and that would belong over in the mixed temperature here, which would not necessarily be so much of a concern. So that's it when it comes to the asset register. It's a case of building up the locations and the types of equipment, copying them in, and don't put any breaks within the list. It must be a straight list running right from one end to the other. No gaps, otherwise when the spreadsheet is loaded back into the system, it will actually drop out and finish at the last break. Just as a little tool that you might like to play, I actually put a filter onto these, an automatic filter, and it can be quite useful if you want to make sure that all WCs are fed from one system. If we take the select all out and we look for a type of equipment, and this is where I say it helps if you keep all your equipment under common headings, we will now only see WCs, and it's possible for us to check that the WCs all only have one system feeding on there. So we achieved that by going up here to sort filter, and you can see that the filter is on at the moment. This is an auto filter, and we can turn the auto filter back off again. That's quite useful for sorting things by floor, or by system type, system number type, or by location. And as long as you turn it back off again, that's fine. When you've finished your work, again, you need to save it. This can be a 97 or an Excel workbook, but I'll save it as a 97, or would save it as a 97 document, and pop it back into a folder which is specific for the site that you're working on. Okay, I hope that helps with the completion of an asset list.